recruitment and training of more police officers, and the build-out of the Jamaica Defense Force. Your government is investing in your safety. We are building Jamaica.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Jamaica, I can help you protect our citizens.
Jamaica Eye will play a part in increasing your public safety.
Jamaica Eye is part of an island-wide network of camera surveillance systems designed to increase the safety of you, our citizens. If you have a camera system outside your home or office facing a public space, log on to jamaicaeye.gov.jm today. Jamaica Eye, we're all connected. The Ministry of National Security, creating a safer and prosperous Jamaica.
Allowed to speak for myself. They make all the decisions.
I'm not allowed to go anywhere by myself. They're afraid I'll escape.
Almighty God, by whom alone kings reign, and princes decree justice, and from whom alone cometh all counsel, wisdom, and understanding, we thine unworthy servants here gathered together in thy name, do most humbly beseech thee to send down thy heavenly wisdom from above, to direct and guide us in all our consultations. And grant that we, having thy fear always before our eyes, and laying aside all private interests, prejudices, and partial affections, the result of all our counsels may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion and justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the king, the public weal, peace, and tranquility of the island, and the uniting and knitting together of the hearts of all persons and estates within the same, in true Christian love and charity, one towards another, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
You may be seated. This honorable house now resume its sitting. I wish to welcome all to this sitting of the Honorable House of Representatives this Tuesday, October 7, 2025. As always, it is an honor and a privilege to do so. Today, as we commence the formal business of the House for this parliamentary term, I wish to remind members of the standing of decorum and respect which are expected of all members. Guidance on what is expected of members in the House are set out in the standing orders, especially section 17. And I ask that all members, particularly new members, take time to familiarize yourself with its contents. I also welcome those of you who are joining us online via the various social media platforms, the PBCJ live stream, as well as all guests who are here with us in the gallery. Call of the roll.
Mrs. Holness, Mr. Green, Dr. Holness, Dr. Chang, Mrs. Williams, Mr. Bartlett, Ms. Grange, Dr. Tufton, Mr. Mackenzie, Mr. Montague, Mr. Vaz, Mr. Chuck, Mr. Charles Jr., Mr. Morgan, Ambassador Marks, Mr. Samuda, Dr. Wheatley, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Terlong, Mr. Witter, Mrs. Dalrymple Filbert, Miss Morrison, Miss Lee, Mr. Williams, Donovan Williams, Mr. Main, Miss Crawford, Mr. Williams Delroy, Miss Hamilton, Mr. Seavright, Mr. Azan, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown-Burke, Mr. Buchanan, Mr. Bunting, Miss Burchell, Dr. Campbell, Mr. Cousins, Mr. Crawford, Miss Daly, Dr. Dawes, Daly, Dr. Dawes, Mr. Golden, Mr. Gordon, Mr. Hales, Mr. Hines, Mr. Hilton, Mr. Jackson, Miss Jess, Mrs. Fort, Malahu Fort, Mrs. Bennett, Mr. Morris, Mrs. Nita Garvey, Mr. Newell, Mr. Paulwell, Mr. Phillips, Ms. Perkis, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robinson, Dr. Russell, Ms. Shaw, Mr. Smith, Mr. Dwayne Vaz, and Mr. Warmington.
Statement by ministers.
Speaker, let me add my welcome to the chair and to the new members of the House as we set off on our official business for this parliamentary term. We do hope that we will proceed in a spirit of civility, working together to ensure that we represent the interests of all Jamaicans. We are expected to have two statements today. We are going to start with the Minister of Labour and Social Security, and then we will have a statement from the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports. So, Mr. Speaker, if you so please, could you invite Minister Charles? Copies will be circulated.
Member from Clarendon South. Eastern.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, House Leader. The copies of the presentation are being distributed. But I crave indulgence to proceed. Speaker.
Yes, you can. Sorry.
Thank you, Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand today to update this Honourable House on the outcomes and the impact of Senior Citizens Month 2025 and generally discussions around our seniors, which was observed between September 1 to October 1 under the theme Respect, Protect, Empower, Connect. Mr. Speaker, every September, Jamaica proudly joins the global community in observing Senior Citizens Month, which is a period of national reflection, celebration, and renewed commitment to the well-being of our older persons. This annual observance is dedicated to honoring the invaluable contributions of older persons, raising awareness of the issues and opportunities that come with aging, reaffirming the government's commitment to inclusion and active aging, promoting the work of our National Council for Senior Citizens, the NCSC, and encouraging wider registration for all seniors across the country, and strengthening partnerships across government, private sector, civil society, and our international partners, all with the objective of improving services for our senior citizens. Mr. Speaker, the United Nations declared 2021 to 2030 as the decade of healthy aging, which is a call for all countries, including Jamaica, to ensure that as our people live longer, they also live better. So this decade focuses on 4 big actions: changing how we think about aging, building communities that support older persons, improving health care and long-term care, and lastly, promoting inclusion in every part of our society. Here in Jamaica, we are proud to align with this global initiative and the movement through our national policy for senior citizens, as well as the work done by the NCSC, from digital literacy training to wellness programs and income support initiatives. We continue to support our older persons in staying active, healthy, and independent. Mr. Speaker, because aging is not a burden, it should be seen as a blessing. Every older Jamaican, for us, is a living story, a pillar of wisdom, and a symbol of what it means to truly build a stronger nation. Our approach has been and will continue to be a whole of society effort, bringing together all of our stakeholders, the government, civil society, academia, families, communities, and of course, our senior citizens themselves, to secure the dignity, the independence, and security for every older Jamaican. So, Mr. Speaker, as we celebrate this decade, the UN Decade of Healthy Aging, we, on behalf of the country, reaffirm our commitment to building an age-inclusive Jamaica, one where every generation has the opportunity to live, to learn, and to thrive with dignity. Mr. Speaker, for those who don't know or who might not recall, the National Council for Senior Citizens was established in 1976. It continues since then to stand at the center of our nation's effort to ensure that every Jamaican can age with dignity and respect. Today, the NCSC has registered more than 35,892 older persons across the island, connecting them to programs that strengthen their well-being and sense of belonging. And we want to call on all and every Jamaican who is a senior citizen and who feels particularly that the support is required
to reach out to the NCSC and to register yourself. Through its wide network of almost 400 senior citizens clubs, several community groups that we have across the country, 27 senior activity centers in churches and community centers across Jamaica, the Council provides opportunities for recreation, for learning, and very importantly, Mr. Speaker, for social support. I want to acknowledge at this time, Mr. Speaker, the hard-working team at the Ministry of Labour, Permanent Secretary Jennings, who is here, along with our Social Security team, and in particular, Ms. Morrison and the team at the National Council for Senior Citizens. Together, we have continued the work to get this right. However, we acknowledge that there is need for more age-friendly spaces. And so we invite the collaboration across all of the networks and stakeholders for us to continue to create vibrant hubs of activity, mentorship, and spaces where there can be intergenerational exchange, internships, and otherwise. The Council also administers, Mr. Speaker, the Senior Citizens Identification Card, giving registered older persons easier access to services and to benefits. It provides home help, meals on wheels, again to nearly 800 shut-in seniors and those who come to our grounds. And we continue to expand our reach in terms of digital literacy training, recently graduating more than 50 seniors who are among the batch, the cohort, that have now greater access to technology and have learned how to navigate technology with confidence. In addition, through health and wellness programs, retirement planning sessions, and intergenerational initiatives, the Council continues, Mr. Speaker, to promote a message of active aging, encouraging our older persons to remain healthy, to remain engaged and empowered as they continue to contribute to national development. Let me say this, Mr. Speaker, we should know in this House, but for those listening and watching, nearly 15% of Jamaica's population is now aged 60 or older. And the work, therefore, of the National Senior Citizens Council becomes and continues to be critical. It's not just important, it is essential. And it embodies that vision that we have of an inclusive Jamaica, where every generation is valued and has a voice, and every senior has a place of pride in the story of our nation. I just want to highlight a number of things, Mr. Speaker, that took place in September of this year, Senior Citizens Month. We had an impressive calendar of events, starting off with the official launch, where we engaged our stakeholders and unveiled this schedule. We had Intergenerational Tree Planting Day, September 3rd. 419 trees were planted island-wide by seniors and youth, symbolizing continuity and stewardship. The National Church Service on the 7th of September, hosted at the Calvary Baptist Church in Montego Bay and streamed across the island. 103 churches as well participated in this effort and held dedicated service to honor senior citizens in their congregation and community. On the 11th of September, we had our 4th annual Aging Fair, an exciting engagement held at Emancipation Park with more than 2,000 seniors in attendance and engaged by some 60-plus service providers offering health, pension, a lot of connectivity and information and wellness services to our seniors and family members who attended with them. On the 13th of September, Mr. Speaker, we had the Caribbean Wellness Day, where you saw parish-level activities promoting active aging and disease prevention that were held by the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and we thank Dr. Tufton and his team for the continued partnership. On the 14th of September, we had the 3K Purple Run Walk that featured 544 participants, including 282 seniors, showcasing the vitality of older Jamaicans in this multi-generational event. And I want to pause just to invite, even though the activities will go throughout the year, members in this house. At some of these, yes, Mr. Fitzjackson, members in the house who are seniors, we want to invite you to become more involved and engaged in the activities. Persons who are participating are asking for you on both sides of the house. On the 17th of September, we had our National Senior Spelling Bee. It's an initiative that is critical to promoting cognitive health. And we had finalists from across all of our parishes. And we saw Mrs. Beverly Bean, 76-year-old from St. Andrew, emerging victorious. Yes, yes. On the 21st of September, World Alzheimer's Day, we observed that under the theme Ask About Dementia. And as part, again, of the public education campaign to raise awareness, promote care and support, and critically to reduce stigma around these issues. I want to move to the 28th of September, a day that many persons, when they saw it on my social media, said, I didn't even know that we had National Grandparents' Day. Yes. Yes, yes, Mr. Chung. A national celebration was held at Clarendon Park in collaboration with Juicy Parties, and we want to thank them, with music, entertainment, fellowship, culminating with nearly 400 grandparents being honored. And I must tell you, Mr. Speaker, colleagues, they were overjoyed. And they expressed to us thanks to the government and to us collectively as a parliament. 26th of September saw us, very important day. We had, again, another in the line of our digital literacy graduations, a highlight for me of the entire month, and a highlight of the event it being the expansion of the partnership between our council, the National Council for Senior Citizens, and the Heart NSTA Trust, where, again, we graduated our seniors with City and Guild certification, Mr. Speaker. And I want to highlight the oldest graduate.
House Leader. House Leader.
Five. Speaker, could we have the time extended for additional 5 minutes?
The request is on the floor. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Minister.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, colleagues. The digital literacy graduation, which again was a highlight of the entire month, and I want to just single out one of the top students was our 89-year-old, who happened to be the oldest graduate, and an amazing woman. In addition to this, we partnered with the Universal Service Fund and Flow Foundation and provided several of the graduates with laptops and smartphones, and the intention is over time to ensure that all graduates get access to some device to support their journey. Lastly, on October 1, it was the International Day of Older Persons, and celebrated under the theme, Older Persons Driving Local and Global Action. Mr. Speaker, this year's observance of our programs yielded tangible results across 4 strategic areas. Public awareness has been raised because of the national dialogue around elder abuse, dementia, and inclusion. We have ease of access to services, with thousands of older persons gaining access to health services, financial support, and others through our activities. Empowerment through skills, of course, with our digital literacy program, and stronger partnerships as we forge stronger partnerships across private sector, church, academia, and others. We are advancing legislation, and colleagues can read it further, relating to elder care and protection. And we have already started the procurement of a consultant to develop a position paper and our cabinet submission and drafting instructions. This is going to be a critical one, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. It marks the critical next step toward enacting a comprehensive legislative framework for the care and protection of Jamaica's older persons. On the road ahead, we look forward as a government to continuing to put together initiatives such as right now we're considering, as we should know, a range of forward-looking programs, including the income tax relief for persons aged 65 and over, ensuring that they keep more of what they have earned, the introduction of priority services at all of our government offices for our seniors, the passage of legislation, as I said, to enshrine the rights, care and protection of our seniors, in addition to exploring initiatives including making provision for older persons advocate, expanding the caregiver training for those who are helping our seniors, and importantly, simplifying the access to public benefits, in particular the life certificate, which should be at least replaced or an alternative provided through the AmAlive application. Mr. Speaker, as our aging population grows, so too does the responsibility on all of us here. Senior Citizens Month reminded us of that powerful truth, and therefore I call on this honorable House and the entire nation for us, each and every one of us, to champion age inclusivity in workplaces, in your communities, in your institutions, to support healthy, active aging initiatives, to encourage registration with the National Council for easier access to benefits, and to partner with the government in building a country where older persons not only live longer, but they live better. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, colleagues, in celebrating our seniors, we celebrate Jamaica's history, our wisdom, and I dare say, our future. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security and the National Council remains unwavering in our mission to ensure our older citizens, our older persons are respected, they are protected, they are empowered, and they are connected. By fully establishing the goals of the national policy for senior citizens, we will continue to build a Jamaica where our older persons are respected, because in doing so, it's going to create a more just, equitable, inclusive, and resilient society for all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, colleagues.
Member from St. Catherine Eastern.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I too want to join in congratulating the ministry, and not just the ministry, but all the senior citizens and their various groups throughout Jamaica who have not just taken this on because of the convention that has been signed in March, but they have been doing so over the years. And I still would want to recognize Denise Eldemeyer Shearer for her active role in this respect. And the countless of others, especially in the various parishes. I believe it's an opportune time for us to recognize that people are living longer. The age population is going to grow even larger because people are living longer, and internationally they have recognized that as well. I am of the view, though, that we need to put some things. While the activities are good and the integration of getting persons to go out into various communities, we really need to look at their well-beings. Because most of these seniors are so neglected, abused, left alone at home, and really and truly need more intervention. And I'm going to start with, especially for those who have worked in the government system. and need their pension. I believe we need to put a proper time in now when we know that these people are going to retire, that we do not let them retire and then they don't even understand how to start the process. We need public education in order that these persons will be able to enjoy their pension before they pass. And I also believe we need to start looking at those who have now gone long before, still active, still doing well, still alive, and need a livable pension. So while we want to celebrate all the different activities, I would want to look at their well-being. And I'm saying, Minister, in going forward, we really need to put a timeline in order that these pensions will be given to these persons in a timely manner. They should not be waiting 5 and 6 years, and 7 years, some of them, before they can get their pensions. I mean, that is what they survive from. I want to also look at the kind of neglect sometimes, and it has to do with some of our government agencies. We need to start looking at how we look at taxes, property taxes for these elderlies. Whether, yes, we need to make sure that some of these things have become serious burden upon them. And if we really want them to live longer, and if we really want them to feel good and happy, we need to take care of their well-being. I personally believe that they have a lot to still offer. We have, in the profession, teachers, we have nurses, we have caregivers. And speaking about caregivers, could you say how far you have reached with art, the training of caregivers, and how much of them have graduated, and if they are now being assigned in communities in order for them to be able to make meaningful contribution? Overall, I believe it's a good step in the right direction. I am here as an opposition spokesperson, and I'm willing to make sure that this dream is not just a dream, but it will be realized, because a country that takes care of their elderly and their children have a good place in heaven. Thank you.
Minister, just one question for you. I noticed that your statement makes no reference to the report of the Committee of Parliament that looked at this issue of the elderly and their status and the conditions in which they live in the Jamaican society. That arose from a motion that had been brought to the Senate by Senator Professor Floyd Morris, which called for legislation to be developed to protect the elderly in this country. Your statement makes no reference either to that Committee of Parliament or its report, or indeed its origin. And I was just wondering, you speak here that a consultant is going to be procured to develop a position paper, a cabinet submission, and drafting instructions. And I was asking, my question for you is, where will the report of the committee feature in the development of that legislation? It had certain recommendations in it. Are those accepted by the government, or is it something that's going to be looked at afresh by a consultant in developing the proposals that will go to cabinet for the preparation of legislation?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Minister, I want to thank you for the report before us. The question I have really, as it relates to the same procurement of the consultant and the whole of that process, I was wondering if you could enlighten us as to how long you're expecting that to take for us to get to where we have a bill, where we have a bill. And I say that against the background, Minister, where I see this statement riddled with words like them living with dignity and those kinds of stuff. And we know that currently the choices that they have to make don't allow many to live in dignity. Often it is a choice between food and medication, between light and that kind of a thing. And I believe that whatever we are going to do, we certainly need some things in the short term that makes life easier. The spokesperson spoke already about some of what you'd like to see. So those are some of the things I'm talking about. But I believe that the time it will take is important for us to know so that we can understand what it is they're going through. And in addition to just the whole case of health care as well, yeah, and with the loneliness and the issues around mental health that we have been seeing, that is also a concern. And I'm wondering if there are some short-term measures while we wait on this process of procurement leading to a bill.
Member from St. Andrew, Western.
Minister, am I incorrect in believing that the requirement that elderlies have to be certified almost every month for this life certificate, that it is nothing more than a bureaucratic humbug? That is, am I wrong in assuming that that is nothing more than a bureaucratic humbug, and that it is time that we do something about this constant requirement of proving that they're still alive? If they're not reported at the RGD as being dead, why aren't we able to assume that they're still alive? Why do they have to keep reporting on this? And it's very burdensome because my office spends a lot of time going around trying to issue these things and to taking them to the agencies. It's very burdensome. And I believe if we want to ensure that they live in dignity, I think the time has high passed that we address this, what I view as a bureaucratic humbug.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, colleagues. Glad to see so many members interested and involved in the discussion. And let me start by saying that all of the points that have been raised are important, valued points, are restating really of the challenges which we have already identified and we agree on. So there's a mutual understanding on both sides of what is wrong. Let me just indicate, starting firstly with our spokesperson, opposition spokesperson, in relation to the public education, we are one in that regard, that there's more that is needed. That's why I'm speaking right now. That's why we have this parliamentary statement and why we continue throughout not just Senior Citizens Month, but throughout the year to continue with active engagements across the country. And let me use the opportunity to acknowledge our social workers who are out there. And I'll just answer the other matter that was raised at the same time, that yes, it does arise from and is further to the motion. And that's something that was stated before. It's not a matter that it wasn't referenced here. It has been stated in the Parliament. And so what we're referencing now is our plans going forward. As it relates to pension, I can say to you, we are right now doing some significant work to not just identify challenges, but look on the solutions in terms of innovation, adjusting the mechanisms that are used to ensure that the process for our pensioners is as efficient and effective as possible. So it should take, on average, about 7 months for you to get your pension after you applied. That's what should be the norm. But without a doubt, there are circumstances that you can only see as an anomaly that go way beyond that 7 months. In my investigation, though, member, what we have found is that in many of those cases that go beyond the average, there are unique circumstances such as gaps in the history, the employment history, or other things that have caused issue. But not only that, we acknowledge that there are also issues that we have to address, and the team is working on that. And that's part of why the innovation in collaboration across government in terms of I'm Alive is going to assist with what members call the bureaucratic process. Bureaucracy is not something that we want in terms of its undue impact, but bureaucracy is not always bad. Bureaucracy serves as a means of accountability, and so it's part of protecting the seniors. However, it is outdated, and we acknowledge that, and we have gone the furthest in ensuring that we not just replace it, because some seniors want to use their certificate. They want to leave their home and they want to take that journey. They want to partner with their grandson who is in the car, traveling them to the ministry. It's an experience for them. And I learned that the hard way in an outing. I learned it the hard way when I was having a meeting with a group of seniors and said to them, listen, we're going to change this. And I said, well, you're a young buck. Who tell us I don't want to go to the ministry? So what we're doing is not replacing, but providing alternatives. Because you have other seniors, like 89-year-old Pernell Charles Sr., who is constantly telling me that he has no time to do that because he is engaged in active aging. And so he would rather do that using an application. Right? So, yes. The other thing is that we have noticed. No. I tell you, that probably is the reason. Another thing, member, is that, and I think we should, at this stage, be able to appreciate this in partnership. NIDS is critical. NIDS would assist in resolving several of the issues that we have seen exposed in terms of the effective partnership with our seniors and others. Let me move on quickly. Caregivers, as was raised. If you read in this statement, you'll see that the Heart NST continues to do their training. But what we want to do is not just training. We want to develop programs that are specialized so that those persons who are trained can be accessed by our seniors and their families. And with the note, that's what we're doing right now. That's exactly what we're doing, working with them. What we have also noted, member, is that there are opportunities even outside of locally. And so a focus, there will be a focus now on caregivers, domestic workers, in terms of really refining those programs to present greater opportunities, not just for our senior citizens, but for employment for all Jamaicans.
I personally believe if we want to measure this thing, we will have to have some numbers. Do you have about how many has graduated? Because remember, that it's an established system, you know. So we want to know how many graduated and how many really in the field. So we know if it is working, because the domestic, it is almost like we are trying something again. So we want to know what you recommended. Or is it working?
Got it. So I'll get those numbers for you, because that's from another ministry. But I will endeavor to get the numbers. Let me just finish off by indicating, in terms of the paper, I think member Brown Burke raised it, in terms of the time. It would be 3 months for the position paper that we are estimating, and then it moves to cabinet, and then thereafter for drafting instructions. I wouldn't be able to give you the consequent times until we have the discussions with whoever the consultant is further to that person being identified and starting their work. And lastly, let me indicate that this evening we will have a TikTok live session inviting all senior citizens and their family members to to discuss all of these issues. I want to invite the opposition spokesperson to join me, and if you do come on, I'll add you as a guest so we can have discussions on it. And I invite others, like Member Fitzjackson and others who... Delroy is just on the cups. He's not yet senior citizen. But seriously, just not to take up too much more time, but just to indicate that at the Ministry of Labour, we have extended our communication, and for the last 3 weeks, we have been engaging the communities on farm work, path. Last week, we had a session on beyond the BPO, what are the opportunities for our young people. And in that session, what we found is a lot of our senior citizens were on, and they were asking, what happened to us, what happened to us, what happened to us. So it encouraged us to have the live today. It will be at 8 p.m. So we invite our senior citizens to join us on TikTok. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Member from St. Catherine, Southeastern. Last. Sorry, St. Andrew, Southeastern. Southwestern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted a clarification, Minister, on the response that you gave around the time frame. The time frame was one half of the question. The other half, which for me is the real question, is while that is happening, what else is going to be happening in terms of making sure that we are making progress in terms of the issues that I raised? And then as I am taking my seat, maybe it would have been good if that invitation from you to the spokesperson would have come earlier.
Minister, let us have the questions or the clarification that is being sought, from member from St. Andrews Southern.
Responded to my questions. I was just reminding him that he hadn't.
Minister.
Thank you. Just to indicate, I forgot, it's Wednesday at 8 p.m., not today. So I hope to see you on good thing you asked about it, Member Brown-Burke. But, you know, it's important to stay out of man and woman business because you assume that I haven't spoken to the member before. No, I didn't, but but she does know that she's always welcome. And we have had discussion of you coming to join me for national discourse around the issue. So, yes, as it relates to the issues in terms of what we'll be doing in an interim, it's what we're doing right now. I want to assure you, member, and assure the country that this is a priority for us. And therefore, we have already started along the journey, not just in terms of the legislative framework, but it is coupled with the work that we're doing with HEART to see that we can establish a better pool of trained, specialized persons to take care of our elders. It's coupled with the reinforcement at the ministry and across government for better inspections and monitoring. It's coupled with the public awareness and raising of that public awareness across Senior Citizens Month. And we'll continue to engage our seniors and our society to make sure that elder care and protection is a priority. I'm not sure what matter member was saying that I did not answer. You raised a question as to the motion. Pardon? Yeah, well, maybe I didn't say it loud enough. So let me repeat. The motion, the report will inform the consequent actions of the consultant. And that's something that had been widely known. And so the issues arising from the report are particularly why we are moving now to create the legislation. So I'm not sure if there's something else you're asking, but yes, there is a connectivity and a chain of custody from that to what will become the legislation. It was raised before. I didn't think I had to repeat myself in this regard, but the country knows. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we will now take a statement from the member from St. Catherine Central, our Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports.
Member from St. Catherine Central, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today as we table in this honorable House the Green Paper on the National Policy for Culture, Entertainment and the Creative Economy. And it's been a long time coming. Allow me to thank our Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, for giving me the privilege to serve once again as the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. And I want to use the opportunity to welcome my Minister of State, the Honorable Carencia Morris. I want to thank my colleague ministers and colleague members of Parliament for the support thus far in bringing this policy to the stage that it is today. I also express appreciation to my ministry, led by my 2 permanent secretaries, the only ministry with 2 permanent secretaries. I'm a lot to handle, okay? Mr. Dean Roy Bernard and Mr. Denzel Thorpe. I also want to thank my principal directors, Ms. Joanne Archibald and Mrs. Gillian McDaniel, and their respective teams, as well as the senior management team and support staff in the ministry for their dedication and steadfast efforts in the development of this policy. I also want to thank stakeholders, academia, and all those who have contributed to this Green Paper. And I am thanking not just on my side, but on the opposition side, because this work has been a seen input from across the cultural divide or the political divide. Mr. Speaker, this Green Paper will be the subject of discussion and consultation as we work together to secure for Jamaica a transformative framework which both preserves and promotes our rich culture and heritage as a priority and unlocks the full potential of Jamaica's vibrant creative sectors, driving Jamaica's cultural and creative industries into a new era of accelerated human and economic development. Mr. Speaker, this Green Paper's forward-looking approach places a premium on a just and cohesive society, equity and inclusivity, empowered communities, preservation of our rich heritage, respect for cultural diversity and cultural expressions. The instrument embraces and promotes innovation, as well as the leveraging of frontier technologies that power our creative economy within an ethical framework, and likewise focuses on sustainability and resilience for culture, entertainment, and the creative economy. The Green Paper we present today, Mr. Speaker, reflects a bold and visionary design shaped by ongoing consultative processes with our cultural experts and entertainment, culture, and creative industry practitioners, which I refer to as the ECCI. We position them at the heart of Jamaica's human and economic development, recognizing their power as engines of human and socio-economic development and transformation. It encapsulates a number of benefits and protections which will enshrine safeguards around the Jamaica Entertainers and Creative Insurance Plan, which we introduced recently, and it provides both life, accident, and health insurance for entertainers or creatives or cultural practitioners and or cultural communities. It undergirds incentives around tools of trade, facilitates preferential and free movement of entertainers, creatives, and cultural practitioners, strengthen the sector through the recognition, integration, and sustainability of associations within the sector. Jamaica's creative economy is already a significant contributor to national development, generating over 5% of GDP and supporting nearly 3% of employment. This performance places entertainment, culture, and the creative industries alongside tourism, construction, agriculture, and other vital pillars of our economy. The impetus of this policy design, Mr. Speaker, is to accelerate sustainable socio-economic development and growth through the provision of an enabling environment for the ECCIs, with a strategic plan to address capacity building, investment needs, and infrastructure requirements, to provide for effective governance frameworks, to strengthen regimes for data collection and intellectual property protection, as well as increase public access to them, to target the elimination of barriers to trade, and to increase support to the sector in favor of safeguarding the status and mobility of the artist and anchoring sustained, vibrant, and thriving industries. Mr. Speaker, we are confident that this policy construct complementary legislative action and diligent implementation will be a critical success factor in transforming people's lives, in transforming communities, society, and the economy. This represents a key part of the government's overall strategy for achieving Jamaica's Vision 2030 and global sustainable development goals. Central to our plan, Mr. Speaker, is the establishment of the Institute for Cultural Practitioners, Innovators, Entertainers, and Creatives, which will serve as a center of innovation and excellence with culture and heritage-focused offerings, along with cutting-edge, flexible education and professional development opportunities in the wide array of creative disciplines. And this will include the arts, digital technology, archaeology, gastronomy, and so many others, heritage conservation, and many other creative entrepreneurship. The Institute for Creators and Innovators will provide the full range by leveraging local and international partnerships, envisioned to include our universities and colleges to champion human development, reinforcing the holistic nature of Jamaica's creative ecosystem. We are providing an institutional architecture that values and strengthens our cultural identity, prioritizes cultural resource management, nurtures talent, and prepares our creatives for global competition. The micro-credentialing model will allow cultural practitioners and creatives to continue to earn while upskilling to the highest levels of certification. There are many practitioners today who are excellent in their field, but they have not been certified. To complement this, the establishment of Jamaica Entertainment and Cultural Development Foundation will provide a dedicated and sustainable funding mechanism. With its status as a charity, this foundation will mobilize and direct investments from government, from the diaspora, from private donors, supporting infrastructure development, event and program-centered funding and fundraising, and institutional support, all crucial to the sector's expansion and sustainability. Mr. Speaker, the policy also treats with the sustainability and advancement mechanisms of the festival economy, which will impact our community, national, regional, and international festivals. We're also advancing the promulgation of an Entertainment, Culture, and Creative Economy Act. This crucial legislation will streamline government engagement with the sector, safeguard the rights and interests of creatives, encourage private sector collaboration, and incentivize the sector. It will enable us to formalize the industry, measure, monitor, and value its contribution, and ensure policies remain adaptive to technological, economic, and social trends. Our Green Paper emphasizes cultural preservation alongside economic growth, promoting inclusivity, innovation, and sustainability. We also commit to strengthen our programs designed to ensure local and international recognition of our rich, tangible, and living heritage, building on inscriptions Jamaica has received, including the last year, the revival pilgrimage to Wat Town and their archaeological landscape of 17th century Port Royal, and protections and other benefits to be derived from ratification of international conventions. Another important feature, Mr. Speaker, is also the intention to fully institute a robust disaster risk management strategy that ensures we are responsive to the increasing effects of climate change. It provides for leveraging frontier technologies such as artificial intelligence and digital tools to empower creatives and protect our unique cultural identity that defines and fuels brand Jamaica.
Mr. Speaker, the time for speaking having expired, we ask that it be extended for 5 minutes to allow the member to complete.
The request is on the floor. Those in favor? Those against, the ayes have it. Minister, you may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are determined that our creatives, cultural communities, cultural institutions, and entertainment stakeholders receive the support needed and are ultimately empowered to flourish and shine at home and on the world stage. This Green Paper is more than a policy document. Yes. It is a foundation for other dedicated culture and entertainment-related sub-policies, as well as guidelines, and a blueprint for a thriving, innovative Jamaica where culture, entertainment, and the creative economy are measured, valued, and cherished as vital forces for Jamaica's well-being and sustainable prosperity. As we present this Green Paper today, Mr. Speaker, we do so in recognition of the many years of dedicated work that have brought us to this point on both sides, enriched by wide-ranging consultations with cultural experts, creative practitioners, and stakeholders across Jamaica and beyond. I want to use the opportunity to thank UNESCO, for example, who has provided funding to assist us in our consultations and our workshops. This Green Paper phase provides an important opportunity to engage further. That is why it is a Green Paper. to listen carefully and refine our collective vision to ensure it reflects the hopes and aspirations of all Jamaicans. And we look forward to this final part of the process and acknowledge it as fundamental to securing the necessary broad-based support and an effective implementation pathway. Together with well-structured support, strategic investment, and innovation, we will elevate Jamaica's creative industries to new heights of global prominence and sustainable prosperity. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the green paper we lay before this House today charts a future where our people and culture are at the heart of economic transformation, social cohesion, and national pride. This green paper is not for any one of us to grandstand, but for us to work together, because when it comes to our culture, when it comes to our sports, which we refer to as physical culture, there is no divide. It's about one people charting a path to our success as Jamaica, the Jamaica brand, is the best brand in the world. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member from South St. James.
Mr. Speaker, as I rise on this maiden speech in this honorable House, I wish to thank the people of South St. James who chose me to be their voice in this honorable House. I want to commend the Honorable Minister for tabling this green paper, Auntie Babsy. I know it's not proper to refer to you as that, but you have a history of working in this portfolio, and I take particular note of the fact that you acknowledged the opposition's participation over the years in building out the body of this work. A green paper is but the first step, and so we welcome it. It's really disadvantageous to me that I'm unable to go through it just now, but I promise you that I will spend the next couple of days to go through it and make it available to the constituents in South St. James and those who support us through our task force to ensure we have the information to better respond to what you have put together for us here today. I want to say, first and foremost, that a lot of green papers don't often end in white papers and then into legislation, but I have very good hopes for this one. I hope that you know that the opposition will not challenge anything that will give power to the creative industries in Jamaica and the cultural sector. You see, our creativity is one of Jamaica's greatest source of strength, identity, and influence. And anything that attempts to package that in a way that those who serve the industry benefit will have our support. I note that UNESCO is one of those agencies or entities that you have listed as providing some financial support to this project. We would like to know how much that is and how it will be used and how we can deepen the consultative process. Because no policy that is to serve the creative industry that doesn't get the voice of the creatives, the drummers, the Dinky Mini people, the Kumina people, the church people, speaking as a pastor's daughter myself, those craft vendors, those stilt walkers in Farm Retrieve in South St. James, those Maroons in Flagstaff in South St. James, Sam Sharp's descendants over there in Croydon, in Catadupa, then if our voice is missing from this, it will not truly reflect the best foot forward for Jamaica. Culture is powerful. Culture is a legacy that we have to give to our children. Culture is how we give meaning to our voice, to who we are, to our identity. And I will look towards another opportunity to speak more fulsomely to this. Know, though, that we have a throng of people who will be providing ourselves, making ourselves available for the consultations when you provide the forum for that. Thank you very much.
Member from St. Andrew Southern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to congratulate the member for South St. James for her maiden representation, which augurs very well for the future. Minister, congratulations on the tabling of the Green Paper, and thank you for acknowledging the work of the opposition over many years in contributing to the process and the content that has made its way into this Green Paper. What I would ask of you is to lay down a blueprint for how we move forward from here. You know, as you said, this is the beginning of a process, but what is the process by which you can have the most dynamic and content-full responses to what is presented by way of policy in this Green Paper that will ultimately lead to the finalization of what actually takes place. Legislatively, yes, but also institutionally. There's reference here to a charitable foundation to be established. You know, what will that look like? What will be the governance arrangements around it, the accountability structures and so on, and all the other facets that are in this. You know, how will the finalization of those things take place, and what is the time frame for rolling that out? So I think, you know, I'd love to hear a bit more from you on the consultation process, the input process, now that this Green Paper has been tabled.
Member from Northwest St. Catherine.
No. I see the speaker was trying to find which constituency I was speaking on behalf today. My first concern is really, yes. No, well, on the extension of the family. No, I am concerned that the family has extended to another auntie. I thought I was the only nephew. So I am wondering, yes. Okay, I'll accept no further extension to the family. But indeed, I must also congratulate you and celebrate you for your commitment to the entertainment industry and to the cultural industry as well. I have a few questions just to ensure that they are considered for future conversation as we move forward. The first starts with the entertainment registry. There has been an unfortunately low take-up relative to the number of persons who are practitioners. Right, so please, and also, what are the plans to take the registry to the people, as in have community calls, etc., because of the vast disperse of entertainment practitioners across the country? Are there plans to take the registration out into the communities so as to drive registration? You have highlighted a lot of the benefits that it has. Secondly, in those community engagements, the plans to promote the entertainment tools of trade. Quite a few practitioners are still unaware that they can benefit from tax reliefs from importation of tools of trade, extended from only the movies and now into all aspects of entertainment. And very few have taken up the full advantage of that, and therefore the communication. As we know, the vast majority in numbers of events are not large events. A lot of round robins, community events, and we have not heard of community entertainment zones as versus just large space, singular entertainment zones. Are there plans to have community zones so that the small activities can benefit from that exemption and grow based on that exemption? Another question is the systems of protection. We have seen many of our dances, for example, on stages of individuals no less than Beyonce. Dirty Wine was at the NFL Super Bowl, and the inventor of Dirty Wine was not acknowledged, nor Dirty Wine for the purpose of Parliament. but the inventor was not acknowledged, worse yet benefited financially from the what some would call piracy of our free-to-use cultural appropriation. And so there seems to be a need to extend the benefit from the immediate fashionability of it and the immediate excitement around it so that it extends further. And there needs to be a greater push for protection. The musicians have caught on and are seeking that protection, but there are other aspects of entertainment that they are not able to at this time. You spoke glowingly that entertainment should be, and rightfully so, compared to things such as tourism. And by extension, I'm hoping that we will be hearing about the Entertainment Enhancement Fund, in short order, similar to what we have for the Tourism Enhancement Fund, for the promotion of entertainment, the building of venues, and also the upgrade of venues. However, we should be very careful that we don't exaggerate some of the earnings that we are seeing here. For example, I see here Sumfest with an estimate of 7 days of spending for the average Jamaican, 16,000 Jamaicans in attendance. Sumfest on average is 2 days, maximum 3 days. And most of those persons would not be having a week of activity. So sometimes these exaggerated numbers may lead to policy directions that might not be sufficient. Additionally, while I see $49,000 per day for the visitor, one would presume that that also includes the room. And we're sure when Minister Ed Bartlett is here, that will also be counted as tourism as well. And they tripled when Ed is here, but that is something that we must be careful of as we move forward to indicate what aspects of spend are to be attributed to tourism and what aspects of spend are to be attributed to entertainment. I would posit that as tourism promotes itself as a key attractor, more of the spend should be contributed to the key attractor. And maybe that $20, Minister Grange, you can make a lobby effort for that TEF in those periods to come over to the ministry. The final two questions, the last one, sports as entertainment. In this list, I didn't see sporting activities registered as entertainment activities. And there is indeed sport and the opportunities for sport to create entertainment and generate income. And we have seen some of that with cricket when it was at its highest point, and we have seen it with football and track.
Just so you know, you're on your feet asking questions, not to make a presentation.
I have not made a presentation.
All right? So, no.
Well, but there was no content.
So you know, you are here, you are not the opposition spokesperson. You're a member, you ask questions. I agree with you that you had a number of questions. But when you start to make a presentation, that's when I will check and I will rule. So you will now end with, you say you have 2 last questions. Let's hear your last questions. Sorry, the next member, can you just turn your mic off, please? Go ahead now.
I think that was a preemptive strike by the speaker, but that's fine.
You use your time wisely.
The control was discussed. But Mr. Speaker, I'm saying that sports is a viable form of entertainment for which I did not see included, and I'm wondering if that will be included. I was making some examples of types of sports, such as promotion of cricket or the promotion of football as entertainment, not only for the qualification process, but as a source of entertainment to be consumed and also to have visitors to visit. We know that there are some diasporas, for example, Indian diaspora in proximity in the United States, that cricket in Jamaica could be a viable option and opportunity for the consumption of cricket, and I wanted to know if that was involved. So that was really a question. And the final question that I had here, Mr. President, having thrown me off, Mr. Speaker, you see, I get less stress downstairs, but that is all right. Mr. Speaker, is heart and the role that heart is expected to play moving forward in the entertainment industry, in the establishment of a reasonable back of the stage core, but also in the promotions and the front of the stage activities. So those are things that I really wanted to ensure are considered moving forward as we move from green paper to white paper.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Just quickly, Minister, I want to join in congratulating you on returning to your, I think you're going to be for life. that ministry. But honestly, I want to congratulate you on returning to that ministry and to continue the work that you have been doing. I want to find out, though, from you if the historic foundation is still in existence. Historic foundation, right. Because I am a little concerned, Mr. Speaker, that when we speak, we are now more inclined with the entertainment and the creative industry and all of that. But the preservation of our history, I do not see any emphasis being placed. And I am in a constituency that has a wealth of history that we would want to harness and to use, just as how you want financial gains from the others, to be able not just for the monetary gains, but to empower and to educate our young minds more so that is coming up. And I would like to see more emphasis being placed. And I would want to also find out if there is anything being done in terms of a partnership between us and Spain in regards to getting any kind of assistance in building out some of these recommendations that we have in this green paper. Thank you.
Member from Eastern Portland.
Mr. Speaker, Minister, I would like to join in congratulating you on your green paper. My question, my two-part question to you is one first of access and the second of public education. I appreciate that ministries sometimes overlap. So, the questions would be asked from another ministry. I did peruse your green paper in its entirety. What I found absent, which is just a strengthening, is the access component.
there are persons who are practitioners that don't know they're practitioners. For instance, a Maroon from Moortown who is also a rafter. He doesn't know that his rich knowledge makes him a practitioner with his history about heritage and culture. I didn't see the aspect of public education that would allow a practitioner to identify himself as a practitioner so he can get access to whatever facilities or funding for his part. The second question then is about its inclusion, but then there is also the heritage aspect of it. It is through your ministry that oftentimes preserve our culture and our rich heritage. Such a heritage, especially for entertainment, would be that of Blue Lagoon and its access. I know you knew I was going, but just to say that I appreciate the thought, the mature consideration that came through the paper. I will read it fulsome, but having speed read or read, I will just say that if that is something that would come to fruition when it gets to the white paper stage, you recognize the power of your ministry to protect both the heritage, which is the land aspect, and how it intersects with the who are the practitioners. And I look forward to your response on that. Thank you.
Member from St. Anne Southeastern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I too join in congratulating the minister and her team. But this being my maiden contribution question, I too wish to thank contribution by way of question. Wish to also thank the people of my constituency, Southeast St. Anne, for sending me here to represent them. Minister, it would be Minister, I think it would be remiss of us not to acknowledge what has happened in the last week and a half or so, and I don't mean the elections. I mean the Oxford English Dictionary. Yes, brought up, say, Bulla, and some of what we're hearing, Carrick or Brinkham, added to the Oxford English Dictionary. And that again emphasizes the power of what we're talking about here today. So it also leads me to the question, Minister. Too often our people are the performers. Too often our people, especially in rural areas, them get a bus and then them find themselves exactly where they were in the beginning. And so the question is, how are we ensuring that through this work, the local communities, our people are protected, and that we also invest in the spaces, in the talents, so that they can have a profession from this industry and are not just seen as providing entertainment, providing that temporary relief for those who come to visit or for those who want to experience our culture. And here I'm talking about our rural communities especially, but also our persons with disabilities. This sector can be quite exclusionary, if you will. It excludes some of our communities. And so I'd want us to be thinking about that and wish to hear your thoughts on how we're considering that in this paper. Thank you.
Member from Clarendon Northern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just to say, I want to add my voice of congratulations to the minister. A relationship that started while I was playing and you were my minister
I am now on the other side, looking to bowl to you in no uncertain way. I scanned through your green paper and I saw maybe a one-page on sports. My question is, I want to know if you are treating sports as a part of the creative economy, or you're going to be treating sports as a standalone. And if so, we will have a full consultation with all the practitioners in the sport industry, not in a piecemeal fashion, but in a wholesome fashion, so that we can get a better understanding of the value of sports to our society and to, of course, the economy. The second part of it is, how do we treat with labor as it relates to this? And if the legislation will support this document to ensure that creative persons and sportsmen and women are treated formally in our society so that they can enjoy the benefits of the society, going to the NHT, getting a mortgage, of course, having a good health plan, and so they can participate in society in a wholesome way and not like they are on the side as sports persons are often treated. And before I close, Mr. Speaker, I will ask you the permission to thank my people of North Clarendon for reposing their trust and belief in me so that I can sit in the House. I thank you.
Member from St. Catherine South Western.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think we're starting on the wrong footing. And I think we are setting a very bad example for the young members who just came in. The issue is, a statement by a minister is, I think, limited to 20 minutes, and the opposition spokesperson limited to 5. Then others can ask questions. What I've observed is that everybody making a statement or a speech or presentation. Mr. Speaker, we start out wrong, badly. So you need to rein them in. Whereby statements are, what am I doing? I'm trying to educate you on the standing order. I'm trying to educate you on the rules of this House. Mr. Speaker, I'm calling you to put some discipline on the floor. Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order. You need to rein in the members.
Member. Member, you have raised that a point of order. Let me hear your point of order.
My point of order, Mr. Speaker, point of order is that a statement by a minister can only be where a council opposition can ask questions, not making statements themselves. The opposition spokesperson have 5 minutes. The others just ask a question but not making statement. You need to teach them, particularly the one from South Manchester, what the rules of this House.
Announcement. Sorry. Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm excited about the excitement that this has created. But I would say that I appreciate the contribution made. The fact that this is a green paper, you know, the input of persons within the House and outside of the House. I will be guided if it will be a joint select committee or it will be the Human Resource Committee, but that is to be determined. But the opportunity will exist for the inputs to be made. And I'm really happy that everyone is really excited about this. Just a couple of quick points. The soft copy should be available to you as we speak, right? So you will have access to the soft copy. The Blue Lagoon, when we talk about access, and I know the concerns you have had, you know, and you as the new member of parliament, you will be looking keenly to see what is going to happen there. But we have to ensure that we put order in what we do. And so this document will provide the guidelines, the framework within which we operate. And public education, yes, is important. And that will be a critical part of this program as well. I also want to indicate that sports, we refer to it as physical culture. And it's not about one page. There is so much more that is in this framework, that sports is entertainment as well. And so sports will be treated and has been treated as a standalone, but it has also been integrated in the overall entertainment and culture and creative and innovative policy that we present. For example, sports has its own, in the sport practitioners, they have their own insurance plan. Entertainers and cultural communities have their own insurance plan. The maroon communities, they are on the e-registry, and there is a sports registry as well. So we do treat them separately, but we also have the collaboration between the areas, because overall it's about our creative spirit and our creative output. Now, one last thing, because I shouldn't be making another speech. But I just want to say that heritage sites are important. And the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, which is responsible to treat with the built heritage, on that board would be representatives from the Historical Society, the Georgian Society, and all the relevant bodies. And our built heritage is extremely important. And so as we move forward with this framework, I look forward to our creative people being empowered. And for us, data collection is very much a part of this. And it's important we have empirical data so we can inform government as to our contribution to the economy and be respected for what we contribute. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Announcements.
Laid on the table of the House are the following. Annual report of the National Education Trust for the financial year 2019-2020. Annual report and audited financial statements of the Rural Water Supply Limited for the financial year 2021-2022. Annual report and audited financial statements of the Sports Development Foundation for the calendar year 2022. Independent Fiscal Commission statement on fiscal performance for the financial year 2024-2025. Annual report of the Northeast Regional Health Authority for the financial year 2010-2011, and its related ministry paper number 42 of 2025 entitled Annual Report of the Northeast Regional Health Authority for the financial year April 2010 to March 2011, green paper numbered 1 of 2025 entitled National Policy for Culture, Entertainment and the Creative Economy 2025 to 2035, the Independent Commission of Investigation Special Investigative Report, Planned Police Operations dated October 2025, Integrity Commission's investigation report into concerns that Ms. Keisha Lewis, councillor at the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation, failed to file her statutory declarations with the Integrity Commission for the years 2019, 2020, and 2022, and its indicative ruling. Integrity Commission's investigation report into concerns that Mr. Roger Curlew, former councillor at the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation, failed to file his statutory declarations with Integrity Commission for the years 2019, 2020, and 2022, and its indicative ruling. Integrity Commission's investigation report into concerns that Mr. Rowan Hall, a councillor employed to the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, failed to file his statutory declaration with the Integrity Commission for the year 2019 and its indicative ruling. Integrity Commission's report of investigation concerning allegations of procurement irregularities and conflict of interest in the award of contracts to Market Me Consulting Limited by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Thank you.
Bills brought from the Senate. Petitions. Papers. Report from committees. Notice of motion given orally.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move to introduce and have read the first time a bill shortly entitled the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Act 2025. And just to indicate to the House, Mr. Speaker, that I am hoping to start the debate next week. I'll be very happy if persons participate in the debate. So even though I will open next week, those who would like to participate next week can participate. I won't close next week, but I would expect, I know around everywhere, everybody wants expungement and they harass everybody. So please have a look at the bill and then we can debate it starting next week. But I really would like to close by the end of the month.
Mr. Speaker, I beg you to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move the following motions. Be it resolved that in accordance with Section 67(2) of the Constitution of Jamaica, this Honourable House appoints a standing committee of the House comprising of the following members. The Most Honourable Juliet Holness, Honourable Andrew Wheatley, Mr. C. Everall Warmington, Honourable Delroy Williams, Mr. Fitz Jackson, Dr. Dayton Campbell, Ms. Denise Daly, to keep under continuous review the number of constituencies into which Jamaica is to be divided and the boundaries of such constituencies. Be it resolved that notwithstanding Standing Order number 68.3 and in accordance with the Standing Orders numbers 68.1e and 73, this Honourable House appoints a Regulations Committee comprising of the following members: the Honourable Franklin Whittle, the Honourable Donovan Williams, the Honourable Tova Hamilton, Mr. Andrew Morris, Honourable Rhoda Crawford, Mr. Philip Paulwell, Mr. Isaac Buchanan, Ms. Zulika Jess. Be it resolved, notwithstanding Standing Order number 68.3 and in accordance with Standing Orders numbers 68.1g and 73b, this Honourable House appoints an Internal and External Affairs Committee comprising of the following members: the Honourable Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Dwayne Smith, the Honourable Alanda Turlong, Mr. Heroy Clark, Mr. Fitz Jackson, Ms. Zulika Jess, Dr. Kenneth Russell, the Honourable Delano Sivright. Be it resolved, notwithstanding Standing Order number 68.3 and in accordance with Standing Orders numbers 68.1L and 73E, this Honourable House appoints an Ethics Committee comprising the following members: Mrs. Marlene Malahoo Fort, the Honourable Franklin Whittle, the Honourable Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Andrew Morris, Honourable Crystal Lee, Mrs. Natalie Nita Garvey, Miss Andrea Perkis, and Mr. Anthony Hilton. Be it resolved that notwithstanding Standing Order number 68.3 and in accordance with Standing Orders numbers 68.1I and 73C, this Honorable House appoints the Human Resources and Social Development Committee, comprising of the following members: Mr. Dwayne Smith, the Honorable Crystal Lee, the Honorable Kerencia Morrison, Mr. Andrew Morris, the Honorable Rhoda Moy Crawford, Mr. Damian Crawford, Miss Yvonne Rosemary Shaw, Dr. Alfred Dawes. Be it resolved that notwithstanding Standing Order number 68.3 and in accordance with the Standing Orders numbers 68.1J and 73C, this Honorable House appoints an Infrastructure and Physical Development Committee comprising of the following members: Mr. Heroy Clark, Mr. James Robertson, Mr. Dwayne Smith, the Honorable Franklin Whittle, the Honorable Delroy Williams, Mr. Ian Hales, Mr. Richard Azan, Mr. Dennis Gordon. Be it resolved that notwithstanding Standing Order 68.3 and in accordance with Standing Orders number 68.1H and 73C, this Honorable House appoints an Economy and Production Committee comprising of the following members: the Honorable Alanda Terrelong, the Honorable Donovan Williams, the Honorable Delano Sivright, the Honorable Tova Hamilton, the Honorable Xavier Main, the Honorable Kerencia Morrison, Mr. Anthony Hilton, Dr. Dayton Campbell, Mr. Mikhail Phillips, Mr. Fitz Jackson. Be it resolved that in accordance with Standing Orders numbers 68.1D and 72, this Honorable House appoints a Committee of Privileges comprising the following members: the Most Honorable Juliet Holness, the Honorable Donovan Williams, the Honorable Franklin Whittle, Mr. Heroy Clark, the Honorable Crystal Lee, Mr. Omar Newell, Mr. Dennis Gordon, Miss Yvonne Rosemary Shaw. Be it resolved that notwithstanding Standing Order 68.3 and in accordance with Standing Orders numbers 68.1A and 69, this Honorable House appoints the Public Accounts Committee comprising the following members: Mr. Julian Robinson, Honorable Frank Whittle, the Honorable Xavier Main, Mr. Heroy Clark, the Honorable Tova Hamilton, the Honorable Delano Sivright, Mr. Peter Bunting, Mr. Lowton Cousins, Miss Heather Miller, Mr. Christopher Brown, Mr. Dennis Gordon, the Honorable Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, the Honorable Kerencia Morrison. Be it resolved that notwithstanding Standing Order 68.3 and in accordance with Standing Order number 68.1F and 73A, this Honorable House appoints a Public Administration and Appropriations Committee comprising of the following members: Mr. Peter Bunting, Mr. Andrew Morris, Mr. Heroy Clark, the Most Honorable Juliet Holness, the Honorable Delroy Williams, the Honorable Marissa Dalrymple Filbert, Mr. C. Everall Warmington, the Honorable Crystal Lee, Mr. Mikhail Phillips, Ms. Nikisha Burchell, Mr. Omar Newell, Mr. Damian Crawford, Mr. Wavell Hines. Be it resolved that notwithstanding Standing Order number 68.3 and in accordance with Standing Order number 74, this Honorable House appoints a Special Select Committee comprising of the following members: the Most Honorable Juliet Holness, the Honorable Marissa Dalrymple Filbert, the Honorable Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, the Honorable Alanda Terrelong, Honorable Donovan Williams, Mr. Heroy Clark, Mrs. Natalie Nita Garvey, Ms. Denise Daly, Mr. Dwayne Vaz. Be it resolved that notwithstanding Standing Order 68, and that is to examine and recommend for approval proposed estimates for constituency projects submitted to the Constituency Development Fund for respective members of Parliament. Be it resolved that notwithstanding Standing Order 68.3 and in accordance with Standing Orders numbers 68.1C and 71, this Honourable House appoints the House Committee comprising of the following members: the Honourable Floyd Green, the Most Honourable Juliet Holness, Mr. Heroy Clark, the Honourable Robert Nestor Morgan, the Honourable Kerencia Morrison, Mr. Philip Paulwell, Mr. Fitz Jackson, and Mr. Wavell Hines. Be it resolved that notwithstanding Standing Order 68.3 and in accordance with Standing Orders numbers 68, 1B, and 70, this Honorable House appoints a Standing Orders Committee comprising of the following members: the Most Honorable Juliet Holness, Mr. C. Everall Warmington, Mrs. Marlene Malahoo Fort, the Honorable Donovan Williams, the Honorable Floyd Green, Mr. Philip Paulwell, Dr. Angela Brown Burke, Mr. Isaac Buchanan. Be it resolved, notwithstanding Standing Order number 68.3, that this Honorable House appoints a committee comprising the following members: the Most Honorable Juliet Holness, Chairman, Mr. Heroy Clark, Mr. Dwayne Smith, Mr. Andrew Morris, the Honorable Crystal Lee, Mr. Anthony Hilton, Dr. Kenneth Russell, Mr. Wavell Hines, to sit jointly with a similar committee to be appointed by the Senate to consider and report on private bills. Be it resolved that in accordance with Standing Order 73F, this Honorable House appoints a caucus of women parliamentarians comprising all female members of Parliament to sit jointly with a similar committee to be appointed by the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of standing orders to enable me to take these motions.
Questions and answers to questions. Motions that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notice. Motion relating to sitting of the House. Motion for leave to introduce bills. Presentation of bills without leave of the House first obtained. Public business. House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motions, notice of which I gave earlier.
The question is that the standing order be suspended to enable the minister to take the motion, notice of which he gave earlier. Those in favor? Those against? Ayes have it. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I will use this time just to indicate, as I have gone through the list of the various committees, just to indicate the chairmanship in relation to the various committees that have been outlined. And a number of them are prescribed in accordance with the standing orders. The Standing Committee of the House, which looks at the constituencies, which is Section 67, Chair the Most Honorable Juliet Holness. The Regulations Committee, the Honorable Franklin Whittle. Internal and External Affairs Committee, the Honorable Juliet Cuthbert Flynn. The Ethics Committee, Mrs. Marlene Malahoo Fort. The Human Resources and Social Development Committee, Mr. Dwayne Smith. The Infrastructure and Physical Development Committee, Mr. Heroy Clark. The Economy and Production Committee, the Honorable Orlando Terrelong. The Privileges Committee, the Most Honorable Juliet Holness. The Public Accounts Committee, Mr. Julian Robinson. The Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, Mr. Peter Bunting. The Special Select Committee for Constituency Development Fund, the Most Honorable Juliet Holness. The House Committee, the Honorable Floyd Green. The Standing Orders Committee, the Most Honorable Juliet Holness. And the Private Bills Committee, the Most Honorable Juliet Holness. And the Caucus of Women Parliamentarians, the Honorable Olivia Grange.
Yes, we can debate. That's fine. Mr. Speaker, the minister having tabled and put the various motions, I would just like to respond. And I will start by reminding the House that
when we first met as a new parliament, the Speaker was emphatic that this term we are going to abide by the standing orders. And we support that fully. And we are looking forward to the work of the Standing Orders Committee, because we have already given signal from last term that there were some areas that we want to strengthen, especially in relation to the role of the opposition, questions and answers. We believe that that has not conformed to good democratic practice over the past, and especially also in relation to private members' motions. And I was very pleased that the Speaker, in anticipation of that work, announced that we had gotten some international assistance. And at our first meeting, we expect to see a draft of those proposals. So as the leader of government business undertake this work of appointing committees, I want to make sure that we are, in fact, keeping in line with the standing orders. The minister was on the right footing when he first started to read out the membership of the committees, because in the first readout, he did not name the chairman. And that is in accordance with the standing orders. But at the end, he went back and announced, chairman of committees, that the standing orders, quite deliberately and specifically, explicitly, refer to the appointment or the election of chairman at the first meeting of the committees. And so, Minister, I don't think it's appropriate for us at this point to be voting in relation to the chairman of committees. But I also, in that regard, and as we anticipate that the chairmanship will revert to the committees to determine, I want to remind the government and the House that there had developed a practice, good practice started by Prime Minister Bruce Golding, where those committees that were regarded as oversight committees, to promote transparency, to ensure the separation of powers, which is a fundamental principle under which we operate, fundamental principle. That those committees would be chaired by the opposition. And it was a deliberate move on the part of Mr. Golding. In fact, he didn't come here and announce the chairmanship. He instructed his members in the committee that when they first met, they would elect an opposition member to chair those committees. And it worked well in the period when he was Prime Minister, when the House shifted and we became government. It was continued and it was lauded by the then opposition. And then in 2016, it continued under the current Prime Minister. And then all of a sudden, in 2020, it stopped. And at the time when it was stopped, we were told that, well, we weren't meeting the mark as chairman, which is not true. And that because you had so many members, you want to make sure that they were active. What have we found since 2020 to the end of the last session? The inactivity was glaring, glaring, absolutely glaring, absolutely glaring. And I am using this opportunity to ask the government to reflect on this position. It's a fundamental position. It's a fundamental position, and it is not in breach of the standing orders, because the standing orders allow the members to determine who they want to chair. But it's a policy, and it has to be based on greater principle of openness, accountability, and a full separation of powers, checks and balances. So we want to bring that to the attention of the government, and that when these committees do meet, we are going to be forceful in advancing that position for the chairmanship to reside in the opposition on behalf of the people of Jamaica. There is a third and probably the most fundamental issue. We speak about the separation of powers doctrine. And that is not only theory. It is the safeguard of our democracy. And the standing orders were very clear when they were first promulgated that there is a role for ministers, but there's a role for the executive. And who are the executive? Cabinet ministers, ministers of state, and parliamentary secretary. And it was never the intention for these three groupings of executive members to be a part of oversight over themselves. Right? And this, notwithstanding the standing orders, can't continue. It is improper for ministers to be a part of the oversight of these committees, and it is totally unacceptable. So Leader of Government, in the spirit that we have agreed to work as we try to ensure that there is greater reaching across the aisle and working together for the interests of Jamaica, we believe that these principles I have enunciated must be preserved, and we are going to hold fast to them. Thank you.
Before you, House Leader, just before you go, I just want to bring it to the House attention that a consultant from the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association has completed a draft of amendment to the standing orders, and this will be presented to the Standing Order Committee in short order. Your mic was on, you know. I acknowledge you.
The point in my direction. All right, sir, I understand.
We'll pay attention to that.
All right, sir, I understand. Yeah, Northwestern Catering. Mr. Speaker, I too join with the leader of opposition business in the concern about the new practice of placing ministers on oversight committees. Indeed, Mr. President, while I acknowledge your statement that there will be, in short order, some review of the standing orders, even if that is reviewed, the concern is not removed. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, we'll get used to it over the next 20 years. But Mr. Speaker, the fact of the matter is that I stand not on hostility to any individual, but out of loyalty to a process of democracy that has served us well. Mr. President, the Westminster system for which we practice has a fusion of power, Mr. Speaker, has a fusion of power which calls for the legislature and the executive to sit in the same house. That has allowed for efficiency of government, that has removed, in many cases, the probability of shutdowns that we have seen in other spaces across the world and gridlock. But that efficiency must also acknowledge and accept that there is a need and a purpose still for separation. That need and purpose cannot be ignored by the simple fact that the fusion. The speaker is speaking. Yes, as long as I'm being recorded. They answered, yes. So, Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, now that I have your attention, I want to reiterate that importance of separation. Mr. Speaker, what we have here with ministers being on oversight committees is that he or she that should be overseen is now offering oversight. The overseer is now overseeing themselves. And that not only is an affront to the process of democracy, but the perception of the public that there is light being shone in the direction and areas that they themselves are interested for the light to be shone. Mr. Speaker, no one hear me today. But Mr. Speaker, what we have recognized here is that almost every single committee has ministers on those committees. And in some cases, not only are they present, but they are chairing these committees. Indeed, it shifts the process from an arena of oversight to a ring of self-defense, where persons therefore move to the point that they must protect themselves. Indeed, those less exposed to the realities of democracy may argue that they can simply recuse themselves, but that does not solve the malice that exists. Indeed, ministers have a commitment to collective responsibility, and therefore any single ministry in front of a committee is actually under his own supervision because he was a part of the plans, he was a part of the decision, and he was sworn to the duty of collective responsibility. When we look across the world, we recognize that this practice is frowned upon. In Britain itself, this practice is frowned upon. In Canada, the practice is frowned upon. And recently in Australia, they said that even the majority of the government is a breach to the democratic process of oversight, and that the opposition should actually have majority for real and serious oversight. There can be no... The most fundamental purpose. And you know, one of those who should be protecting oversight as a backbencher is now promoting not being a chair of any of those committees that is there. But you know, I want you promoted. I'm going to stand on your behalf. But Mr. President, Mr. President, the real purpose of the legislature is to protect the interest of the people from the abuse of power from the executive. And that is deflated and defeated by the proposals that we have heard here today. Therefore, Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, I ask the government and I ask you, sir, to review the proposals that are putting persons who are in the executive to also be, no worry, to be on the oversight committees. With that, Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Member from West Central St. James.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have taken note of the submissions made, and I believe it is important to remind everyone who is listening that the standing orders themselves provide for their suspension at Standing Order 86. Any one or more of these standing orders may, after notice or with the leave of the Speaker, be suspended on a motion. So where leave is requested and obtained and the standing orders have been suspended, Mr. Speaker, you can proceed. First point. It's just important to remember that the standing orders provide for their suspension at Standing Order 86. That's the first point. Mr. Speaker, the mandate of the select committees are set out beginning at Standing Order 68. And if we choose an example of one of the terms, the Economic and Production, Human Resource and Social Development and Infrastructure, Physical Development Committee, for example, mandates the receiving of submissions from citizens and organizing meetings between citizens, community groups, sectoral organizations, members of parliament, and representatives of government agencies to facilitate exchange of views on the operations of the government and their effect on communities and groups in the society. Mr. Speaker, you can, and members of the public may look on the mandate. Government is not just the political directorate. And when the executive makes policy and account to the legislature, the rest of government has to implement and execute those policies. And so it is not true to say that members of parliament on the government side cannot properly perform the functions that are set out in the committees because they are on the government side. It's not true to say that in a wholesale way and without exception, because government is bigger than the political directorate. No. Members of the public are listening on. And regardless of the views, accuracy matters. Accuracy matters. I'm not saying the point is not a valid point, but I'm saying the work is bigger than what has been practiced in the past.
Member.
And oversight
Member
has to
from
be
West
provided
Central.
for all of government.
Member from West Central. Be reminded that you're speaking to the Speaker through the Speaker. So you don't have to pay attention, speak directly. Thanks.
An important reminder, Mr. Speaker. I will just reiterate that the standing orders provide for their suspension, and also that the work of the committees are set out in the standing order, and the oversight work is much bigger than a limit to the political directorate.
His mic is on. Your turn.
Member from Eastern Westmoreland.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We have inherited quite a few things. And one of the things that we inherited is the system of governance that we use. Now, when you inherit something, it's like you have to understand that you may not be able to use it in its entirety, and there is some modification that is required, because what obtained in the jurisdiction that you inherited it from may be a little bit different. So the Westminster model of government that is practiced in the UK, they have about 650 MPs, members of parliament. For a political party to be victorious, they need 326. But they only have about 120 ministers of government. Therefore, the legislature is not overrun by the executive, as is the case here, because we only have 63. And for a party to win, they need to get 32. And what has happened in this particular instance is that majority of the members of the government side have been appointed to the executive, only leaving 5 of them on the backbenches. And that overrun of the legislature by the executive is what is at the root of this problem. Because if the government was to appoint committee members and they were not going to utilize members, as is outlined in section 68(3), where it says that subject to the provisions of Standing Order number 71, a sessional select committee shall consist of not less than 6 members, including the chairman, none of whom shall be a minister or parliamentary secretary. That's what it states. The reason why they are having a difficulty is because they chose to place majority of their members as a part of the executive. And it has only left 5 members that would need to serve on all of the committees. And therefore, we're seeing this situation. Now, this is not the first time that the issue of separation of powers is coming up, and there is what seems to be a manifest breach of it. In its previous iteration, this JP government decided to put the Chief Justice on probation. And that triggered a lot of criticisms, including from members of the judiciary. Judges actually protested. The idea of us observing and being true to the doctrine of separation of powers is well established. And there's obviously good reason for it. It is not in an attempt to give prominence to members here. So the advocacy is not to give some position to members who are on this side. That's not what we're talking about. The idea, though, is to provide protection to the people of Jamaica so that their rights are not trampled upon. It is clear that once you do not have the separation of powers, that you're going to concentrate too much authority in either an individual or a body. And that leads to the possibility of corruption and tyranny. That is clear. Now, in order for us, we love it, man, and I want you to also love it and shun it. Mr. Speaker, it is a previous leader of the Labour Party, a previous Prime Minister of the Labour Party, that took a decision as well that it is members of the opposition that should chair the committees. the idea that when the Labour Party had 49 members, that they would have been more active has been proven to be false. Because during the preceding 5 years, we had less meeting than the 5 years before that they complained about.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes.
Most people make reference of things that they don't even know. It's like the Ethiopian eunuch. Do they even know of the things of which they speak?
No, they don't.
This has nothing to do with 20 years ago. Absolutely nothing to do with that.
Don't be sidetracked.
This has to do with the separation of powers to prevent the concentration of too much power in a single individual or body, and to ensure that the rule of law is supreme. That's what this is about. And so, Mr. Speaker, our Constitution and our democracy rests on the doctrine of the separation of power. This is to prevent the corrosive dangers of corruption and exploitation. We all must stand resolute to prevent such an eventuality. Thank you.
St. Andrew Southern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the first sitting of the new Parliament, on her appointment as Speaker, the member for East Rural, St. Andrew, indicated a determination to adhere to the standing orders in how this Parliament would be conducted. The two standing orders which are engaged in this discussion are Standing Order 68.3 and Standing Order 75.3. 68.3, as has been read, essentially says that these sessional select committees, which we're appointing today, should not include among their membership ministers or parliamentary secretaries. It is a fundamental standing order which supports good governance in our democracy. This is not about quibbling whether a question is, in fact, a statement, or you're speaking a bit too long, and the sort of things that often engage the Speaker at any given point in time in the cut and thrust of parliamentary proceedings. This is about the separation of powers, about accountability in governance, and about how Parliament should have appropriate checks and balances for executive excess. And that is why these sessional committees, which are review and oversight committees, are supposed to be established without the presence of persons from the executive thereon. There is no issue about government MPs being on them, and in fact, the rules provide for the government MPs providing a majority of the members of these committees. And it's based on the balance in a given parliament from time to time. That's in the standing orders. And while in Australia we heard they may think that that is not an ideal situation, it is what governs our parliament. The issue is executive influence, undermining the efficacy and transparency of oversight functions of parliament in our democracy. I'd also say that the way this motion was put did not make any reference to any suspension of the standing orders. There was a suspension of the standing orders to enable the motion to be put. But the substance of the motion simply said, notwithstanding 68.3 and so on. Notwithstanding 68.3, notwithstanding, it was repeated for each one of the elements of the motion. There was no invocation of the suspension of standing orders. And furthermore, I think it's an abuse of the standing order that provides for the suspension thereof for a fundamental standing order which is expressed in terms which precludes and prohibits a course of action to be pursued by invoking the provision that says that standing orders may be temporarily suspended. That is an abuse of that provision, and that's not the intention of that provision. The other standing order which is fundamental to this discussion is 75.3, and that deals with how chairmen are to be appointed for these sessional select committees. And it says that a select committee may elect a chairman from among its members. Therefore, for the leader of government business to purport today to determine who will be chairing these committees is ultra vires the rules of this House and ultra vires this particular standing order. There is nothing in the standing orders that authorize any departure from the provision that the members of the committee are to elect their chairman in relation to any of these committees, save and except those which specifically provide that the chairman is to be a particular individual. And there are a few like that. So, for example, the committee that deals with standing orders says in 70 subsection 2 says that the Speaker shall be a member and chairman of that committee. Similarly, the House committee also says that the minister in charge of arranging the business of the House shall be a member and the chairman of the House committee. And the Privileges Committee also says, the provisions there say that the Speaker shall be a member and the chairman of the Committee of Privilege. Those are the three where the standing order specifically authorized, in the case of the House committee, that the minister in charge of arranging the business of the House shall be. That is the only exception to the rule in the standing orders that ministers are not to be on these committees. So where we're heading today is a breach of the standing orders, is a breach of the principles of checks and balances in our democracy, and should not be supported. At the first sitting of this Parliament, I raised the issue of the chairmanship of these committees in light of the comment made by the Prime Minister at his swearing-in ceremony, invoking the spirit of partnership. And I said that if, as part of that partnership, we were hoping and expecting the reintroduction of a convention that had been established under a JLP government, when Prime Minister was Bruce Golding, that exhorted the members of the committees then to appoint an opposition member to chair the committees. It worked well. It was an improvement on our democracy, and it did not violate the standing orders because the specific standing order, 75.3, allows it, allows that choice to be made by the members. When Portia Simpson Miller, the most honorable, became Prime Minister under the PNP government of 2012, we did not depart from that convention. To the contrary, we saw that it was an enhancement of our democracy, and we elected to follow it. And it has worked well. When the Jamaica Labour Party was returned to office in 2016, for that first term, they too, under Andrew Holness as Prime Minister, followed that convention. It was only after the 2020 election that there was a departure from that convention, and it was justified, in quotes, it was justified on the premise that the committees weren't performing adequately and that they would perform much more efficaciously if the government controlled the committees through appointing the chair. So the government has the majority on the committees, and the government appoints the chairman of the committees. That is the antithesis of oversight. As a member, the newly minted member for Northwest St. Catherine said, that is not an arena of accountability. That is a ring of self-defense for the executive. So, Mr. Speaker, it was with a strong sense of disappointment that I speak in this debate on this motion. I am extremely alarmed and disappointed that the government is proceeding down this undemocratic path in violation of the standing orders. I urge them to reconsider this, as we will not support this motion. Thank you.
Member from St. Catherine South Western.
Mr. Speaker, the
Just
hypocrisy,
turn one of the mics off, please.
the hypocrisy that one hears coming from that side. The leader of opposition, who shall remain there, maintains that he codes Mr. Speaker, I will not be distracted by a member who got beaten in central Manchester, run to south Manchester to seek refuge. I ran in southwest St. Catherine all the while, win all the while, the large number of votes. So please, don't. He mentioned standing orders 75-3. Okay? And it says plainly, may. It don't say it has to be. It says may. Okay? It's 68-3 said, subject to provision of standing order number 71. A sessional select committee shall consist of not less than 6 members, including chairman, none of whom shall be minister or parliamentary secretary. All right? So, you can always amend. And I came here, hold on. I came in 1980. And the only other 2 members who served here since then was Minister Chang and Mr. Bartlett. Okay? And since then, they've always always maintained, and his government, notwithstanding Standing Order 75, he approved on his government constantly. So why it's so convenient today? Hold on, man, hold on. I served on committees while you were government, and there were ministers who sat on those committees and chaired those committees. He said, notwithstanding, and you hypocrites support it then, leave it then. That's a minute. It has not been changed. No. It has not been changed.
Member.
Bruce Golding came here.
Member, sorry.
Look here.
You're rising on a point of...
The language of hypocrites and pointing to us is unparliamentary, and I urge a member to withdraw.
Withdraw what? Withdraw. What is that withdraw? Hypocrites? Well, all right. I won't say hypocrite. I say hypocritical behaviors. Hypocritical behaviors. There's no way in the standing order that state that opposition members must chair committee in this House. Nowhere in the world does it happen. Bruce Golding came here, made that statement. It's not written inside of here. We are guided by this. It was not amended. It was not amended to reflect that opposition members chair committee. He made that statement. Okay? Unless it is written inside here, hypocritical statements from that side must be rejected. Don't come with that. You voted for it. You voted for it. Who? You who? Met over Mark Golden. Look here. Don't let me go further than that.
Members. Are you
Mr.
through?
Speaker, Dayton, shut your
Member.
mouth. Crystal,
Member.
thing up, so you have to run go want to go seek refuge. Don't talk to me. I don't run.
Member from St. Catherine South Western. Remember, you're not allowed to refer to any member by name.
Even the white one?
Member from St. Catherine Southeastern. St. Clarendon Southeastern, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have listened to the commentary from colleagues, and I want to make it very clear that the past arrangements must be seen for what they were. Political accommodations, not any constitutional obligations. And that must be very, very clear. In this democracy, our democratic architecture allows for Parliament's function to be in a manner consistent, not only with the standing order, but with the sovereign will of the people, a people who made certain decisions on September 3rd. And when they made those decisions, the decisions allowed for a composition, permit me, for the composition of Parliament, which always has at least one side having a majority, whether slim or wide. And because of the democracy, you do have conventions, but you have the flexibility as things evolve to review, restructure, and to make decisions. And I would say that the decisions made in terms of the chairmanship as they are now reflect an effective balance, where you see the PAC and the PAAC still chaired by the opposition, and those are the committees that have specific connectivity to financial accountability and fiduciary matters, while the others are more policy and legislative, and those are actually effectively chaired by the government and may lead to greater balance and efficiency. And I'm glad that the member said what he said a while ago, that it's my interpretation, and that is what is allowed in a democracy. A democracy, permit me, a democracy is not static. It is a creature, it is evolving. And as long as whatever you are effectively doing does not offend or contravene the standing order, the laws, or the Constitution, permit me. You have your opinion, and I listened. Listen to me, and then thereafter you can tell me if I'm speaking foolishness. Now, as I was saying, Mr. Speaker, as long as it does not contravene the standing order or the laws, it is the governing party, the majority in the Parliament, that has the responsibility of making decisions in how best it can see the efficiency of the committees. Now the question then is if we see this to be improved coordination and a balance, because we still have the opposition chairing two of the committees, particularly the critical ones that relate to fiduciary matters, then the question is whether or not it offends or contravenes the standing order. In my opinion, Mr. Speaker, it was noted that the member spoke to Section 75, and the country must be very clear in understanding the distinction in law and legislative interpretation between the words may and shall. And here, where it says may, that is a discretion. Discretion meaning there's no obligation. As I said before, you're talking about political accommodations. Matter of fact, what is being proposed by the opposition now is a matter of entitlement, almost as if they believe there's a parliamentary entitlement to chair. There is none. There is none. There is none. And the other matter relates then to the issue, Mr. Speaker, of 68.3.
Member.
I want clearly to understand what the point of order is, please.
Just a minute.
So, Mr. Speaker, the member is misleading the House because there are two separate matters that are being discussed. One is about chairmanship and the other is around membership. And in what he has
point
said
of order,
just
please.
now...
That is complete rubbish. Listen, a point of order to the point of order. A point of order to that point of order. Let's go.
So there are two different issues that have been raised, Mr. Speaker. And in what the member is saying, he is conflating both and confusing them. In addition, look at the dictionary. In addition, Mr. Speaker, there has been no entitlement that
Member from Clarendon Southeastern. Member from Clarendon Southeastern. You may continue.
You know, Mr. Speaker, my submissions, are not in any way, people know, to be seen as trying to be contentious, but rather bringing clarity to the country. You can agree or you can disagree. But when you rise to say a point of order, it must have a fundamental ground as a point of order. That was not. So let me move on. I was bringing us, in my closing, back to the matter of 68.3. Our 68.3 speaks to the select committees and all of the sessional select committees, and rightfully provides guidance to us, subject to the provisions of Standing Order 71. And I will allow the House Leader to go into further detail in how the Parliament has treated with matters of this nature for the life of the Parliament, in terms of the procedure used to ensure that you can, as a Parliament, determine whether you abide strictly by this or you call for certain procedures to allow you to have, as in this case, ministers on the committee. There is a particular procedure that can allow for it, despite the vocabulary used in 68.3. But I'm going to allow the House Leader to go into greater detail in that regard.
House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I have heard.
What you mean, sit down? What you mean, sit down? Who? No, Mr. Speaker, my mic was on.
Member. I had asked the House Leader to speak. The reason that your mic came on is that I had turned off his mic first when the other member was speaking, and you put your mic on, so you get the go-ahead. I am now asking the House Leader to speak, and then you.
You will hear. Members. No, that's the point. Allow me. I'm not going to close the debate. No. All right, so, Mr. Speaker, I have heard the members who have contributed to the debate thus far, and I am aware that there are more members who have indicated that they want to contribute. And I think as they see the direction that I'm taking, then they will understand and we can speak thereafter. But as I have gotten up a couple of things, Mr. Speaker, and I say this one to the members in general, as this is our first official business day of the Parliament. I do agree that the standing orders provides the guide, and I will ask that when people quote from the standing orders, that they read the provision in full. Because if they don't do that, they may take out a part to try and give an impression that is false. So when the leader of opposition, the member, read the provision in relation to the selection of committees, he framed it in a particular manner. It says, except as otherwise provided by these orders or by special direction of the House, a select committee may elect a chairman from the members. He never mentioned the first area of the provision, especially the special direction of the House in which we sit, as a route through which chairmen of committees can be chosen. I will not say it was purposefully misleading, but I will ask the members to read the provisions in full, or they may give a wrong impression. The other thing that I say to all the members, especially those who've been around for longer than I have been around, there are some conventions that have been established over time. And those conventions are so well established that when the House prepares the documentation for these committees, it is actually included in the documentation. One of those conventions have to do with ministers of state, and the fact that ministers of state have sat on many a select committee, including committees in the last session on which the opposition sat and did not complain. And that is why the motions are written in a manner that says notwithstanding. And because what the member from Eastern Westmoreland said rightly, that as a small parliament, we have to look at some of the conventions that have been used to ensure that you can effectively function as a government. That is why the provision for notwithstanding Standing Order 68.3 has been maintained from before I was in this parliament. In fact, from before I was born. And opposition and government, in the spirit of working together, opposition and government, in the spirit of working together. Even in the last sitting, the last term of Parliament, in the spirit of working together, opposition and government have worked together on this. And that is why people like the Honourable Member, State Minister Witter, would have chaired the Regulations Committee in the last term. That is why Member Main would have been on multiple commissions, and this opposition under the same leadership, the same leader of opposition, the same leader of opposition business raised no issue. I say that the opposition must reflect as to whether we are going to truly work together in a spirit of cooperation. I'll make two more points and then I'll indicate my intention. No, there is a fallacy that is paraded around as to whether the committees function better under opposition rule, chairmanship, which was a brief point in our history. And when I looked at the functioning of the committees in relation to how many times they met, it is very hard to discern the difference between when the opposition was in charge of the committees and when the government was in charge of the committees. In fact, with a committee like the Ethics Committee, between 2012 and 2015, it met nine times. It met 9 times. A committee under the change during that same 3-year period between 2016 and 2020, it met 15 times. Again, what you hear the members speaking of is that it depends on the amount of work that the committee has to do. The additional point that I will raise is that there are schemes that are outlined in the standing order. The standing order has some committees that it indicates who the chairmanship is. By convention, we have always allowed the opposition to chair the Public Accounts Committee and the PAAC, and that has not changed. Additionally, when you look at the UK system, there is only one committee chaired by the opposition, and that's the Public Accounts Committee. Only one committee. And the reason for that, Mr. Speaker, is that despite what has been said by the members, committees like the Production, the Human Resources, the Economy and Production Committee, the Infrastructure Committee, are established to ensure that the policy direction of the government is being implemented through its ministries and agencies. And again, and it is not by chance that the PAC and the PAAC, remember the PAC is the committee that has Auditor General reports to, and the PAAC that always had embedded in it a strong oversight responsibility, were chaired by the opposition. So, as the member from West Central, St. James, indicated, when you look at the definition of the committees and what they're called upon to do, for you to believe that a member of the government could not effectively chair that committee, I think is a false assertion. So there are other points, Mr. Speaker, but I will say this thing. Because, Mr. Speaker, I want us to embark on this journey with a sort of sameness of purpose, appreciating that the people have selected a government, that the government is here to work with the opposition, appreciating that on every single committee, the opposition has members. What I will allow me, members. What I will do, Speaker. What I will do, because to be honest, I thought we were on when I spoke to my opposition counterpart, even though he did indicate some misgivings in relation to the chairmanship, right? I thought that the other matters that they have raised, which especially the ones which they as government, when they were government, were accorded those privileges, I think maybe it is the moment they are utilizing. So what I will do, I will suspend the debate. I will have a discussion with the leader of opposition business so that when we come back here, hopefully we are in one accord. Additionally, as I said when I started, I urge the leader of opposition business and the leader of the opposition that things that they accorded within the past, as soon as the term before us, committees that they sat on with composition of state ministers, don't use this opportunity to grandstand, but let us work together. So, Mr. Speaker, I ask for the suspension of the debate, and we will continue.
Members, the motion is on the floor for a suspension. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
They want to muzzle us over here. That's the intent.
Put on.
Mr. Speaker, it is not intended to do any further business today. As such, I ask for the adjournment until next week.
The request is on the floor for the sitting of this House to be adjourned until next week, Tuesday. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. This House now stands adjourned.